All right, sir. Let's start the session, sir. Some students are joining. No problem. We can continue. They can, join in the middle of some topic. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Thanks for the confirmation, Sachin. All right, so again, very good evening to everyone. Let's start today's session. So today it's the second day of the session. Yesterday, I think we covered, what is Active Directories, what is Entra ID, and then we moved on to covering how do we create, configure, and manage identities and what type of identities we have on Microsoft Azure. We also talked about what are Entra ID licenses, plans, and pricing, everything about it, right? So today we are going to see, further how to create groups and all these things. So let's continue with our today's module. Please let me know once my screen is visible to all of you.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
it's visible.
Okay. That's nice. Okay. So yesterday we covered until here, I guess. We ended at this discussion. What are Entra ID plans and pricing? And today we are going to continue with this module where we are going to learn, about self-service password resets. Now, if I say, if I tell you about a situation that must have happened with all of you, sometime in life as well. So if you are an employee of any organization, it must have happened to you that sometimes your password stops working, right? Let's say you have a desktop in your cabin, okay? You log into your desktop on the morning, and if you're trying to enter the username or the password, right? Sometimes it says that the password is not correct or anything, right? The password has been expired, or maybe your account has been logged, something like that, right? So we face these kind of things on daily basis. Now, if we go with the traditional approach, so what you will usually do, you will contact your admin team, right, your IT staff, and someone from the IT staff will temporarily reset your password and they will ask you to set a new password on your own, right? That that's what happens usually. But in Entra ID, you don't have to do that. Like as an Azure Administrator, Entra ID gives you an option or a feature, you can, whatever you want to call it, option, feature, whatever. The name of the feature is self-service password reset. Okay, which means from the name itself, you know that you can reset your passwords on your own. Okay. Now again, this user can be anyone, right? But he still has to authenticate himself. If he is the, let's say if this is Alex. Okay. Alex's account has been logged, due to his password expiration. Now we can set up a policy for Alex that whenever tries to reset his password, he can do that. But first he has to authenticate itself. If he is the person who is you know identifying as, so we have to authenticate himself. How can we do that? Taking the help of MFA, multi-factor authentication. Either we can send a code on his email or an OTP on his mobile device, or we can ask him some security questions. What kind of questions? Like which city you were born, right? Who gave you your name? All these kind of security questions. And we can set how many questions do we need to ask this user. Okay. So how can we do that? So what am I trying to say here? Let's say, hope my portal is visible to all of you, my Azure portal.
Yes.
Okay. So remember we created these users yesterday, this user 01 underscore n. Let's say this user tries to log in to our Azure portal. Okay. So portal.com. Let's say this user tries to log in to our Azure portal and he has forgot his password, right? So you see this option, forgot my password. This is the thing that we have been talking about. See, it takes him to this window. So this feature, self-service password reset, this we have enabled using our Enter ID. So what the user has to do, it's a very basic, concept. You must have done this in your life, a number of times when we often don't remember our passwords, we lose our passwords or something like that. So the user has to put in his email ID first thing. Then he has to enter this captcha, let's say this H5. And then when he hits next, he'll be asked for the MFA that we have set up for him by here. You will see authentication options. So if I go to this user, you see this authentication methods here. From here, you can manage how do you want to authenticate this user. Okay, you can set up multiple authentication methods, right? And then after putting in, using that particular multi-factor authentication option, let's say we have sent him a code on his email. So he'll enter the code and then he'll be able to reset his password, right? Maybe we can ask him security questions. Maybe we can, send him a code on his mobile phone. However, so these are all the valid options how someone can replace or reset his password on his own. Okay, so we can choose the number of authentication methods required and the methods available, right? And you can require users to register for SSPR. Same process as MFA. That is self-service password resets. Okay. Now we have talked about users, we have talked about self-service password reset, what is Active Directory domain services, then what is Azure Enter ID, all these things. Now I've already shown you this as well. You know how a user is created, what is a user account. The account is used for authentication and authorization. Each user account has additional properties such as first name, last name, phone number, email ID, country, department, all these things. Now let's talk about groups. What kind of groups you have? Okay, all right. So talking about these groups, and one thing I wanted to tell you here is that so there are rules, okay, in Microsoft Entra ID. There are rules. Based on these rules, you are entitled to do a particular thing. Means you have some set of permissions based on these rules. So you have to be a global administrator or a user administrator to manage users. And when I say manage, we are talking about creating them, configuring them, or maybe deleting them as well. So let's say if I delete this user, I want to delete this particular set of user. Let's say I go back to my users. I want to delete this user here. So I can simply do that. But for this, I need to have a role as either a global administrator or a user administrator, right? So I'll simply delete this user here. Done. If I refresh, you won't be able to see that here. See that? He's gone. Now, where can we see this user? In this deleted user section in the navigation pane, right? Here he is. And you can see users are permanently deleted automatically 30 days after they are deleted. Means once you delete this user, it will remain here, for 30 days. And if you haven't, took any action, if you haven't taken any action within those 30 days, this user will be permanently deleted, and, deleting all of his access, permissions, roles, whatever he had in your organization. Or within 30 days, you can just simply restore this user. Click that and you're good to go. See, that user is back here. So that is what this presentation is saying as well. Deleted users can be restored for 30 days. We can either create a user, which is basically your cloud identity, cloud member, whatever you want to call it, or we can invite a user, which we often call as guest account. Okay. And if you want to see when this user try to log in to your Azure services or to any resources, you can see that information, those sign in and audit logs on the same portal. So let's say if you want to check the sign in logs, who tried to sign into, from my users. Let's see. Can you see that this particular user tried to log into which application? Azure portal, and he was a success. What is the IP address of the user? What is the location? Was any conditional access applied to him or not? What is the authentication method that was required? Everything you will be able to see here. Similarly, you can see audit logs as well. Okay, whatever is happening inside here and enter ID. If you created a user, you restored a user, you set up self-service password reset, you updated some properties of a user, you added a user, all these logs are available for you to manage and monitor your intra ID configurations. Now we have talked about users. Let's talk about groups. What are the type of groups in intra ID? See, what is a group generally? Let's say, you have 5 IT people as your team, right? So if you group them with, with a group, let's say IT group, what is that? Logical grouping of users having same department. So in Microsoft Entra, group groups help organize users so they can be given access to the right resources easily. There are mainly two types of groups in Entra. So let's explain these two types of groups. One is security groups. These are used to control access to your resources. What resources? Your resources, such as applications, files, printers, all these things. So if you want to control the access to resources, create security group. Or if you want to collaborate, then you have to create an M365 group. So let's understand this. Okay. Security groups are used to control access to resources such as applications, files, or printers. Means members can include users, devices, or service accounts. It can be anything. So these are useful for managing permissions. For example, let's say I say all IT team members in one security group can be given access to my IT file share. Okay, this is my file share, my one of my file share here, IT file share, and I want to give access to this file share to all the people from IT department. So don't you think it will be pretty easy if I group all of these users into a group named as IT, and I give the whole access to this group? And instead of giving each of this person separate access, this makes sense. So that is a security group. Groups can be nested inside other groups for complex scenarios. Means within this IT group, you can even have a subgroup as well. You know, let's say IT floor one or something like that. So it can be nested. Now let's talk about M365 groups. See, M365 groups are designed for collaboration rather than just access control. Okay. So here members are primarily users. So it provides collaboration tools. Sometimes it happens like if we have an organization, let's say we have contoffer.com, this is my organization, and I'm a service-based organization. So, I have to, what do you say? I have to collaborate with external guests, with external, companies. I'm having a project, let's say a development project is there. So there are some users with whom I have to share my team's calendars. I have to share my team channels, my mailboxes. I want to have a SharePoint site, all these things. So what is the kind of group I'll go for? That is M365 group. That is why we say that it is used for collaboration. It can include people outside the organization for collaboration, right? Then comes membership types. There are two types of memberships basically. This is, you can call it as dynamic only. One is assigned, second is dynamic. So what does it mean? I'll explain in a very simple way. Let's say a new employee joins contoffer.com and I am an admin. I'm the admin, Azure Administrator of my company. Now, don't you think it will be easy? Yes, I can just, take this user, see his what department he has been, hired for, and based on the department, I'll just put it into, let's say he was hired for IT group only. So I'll just put him inside the IT group. That I can do for one user. But let's say if there are 10 users, and don't you think it will be pretty difficult to manage to put each of these users, one by one into this IT group, right? So first type of assignment is assigned membership, means where we are doing everything manually. But what are the other options? Other options are dynamic membership, means membership will be automatically managed by rules based on user attributes such as department or job title. So what I say, let's say I have created a dynamic user membership. So I say if any new hiring is done for any particular employee, if and the department, the attribute of department is equals to IT for this user, he should be automatically put into the IT group. Don't you think that's quite easy? So that it removes my overhead as well as an Azure administrator. So that is a dynamic user. Same thing we can do for devices as well. So if a new device joins our organization, we can put it inside, the IT group, maybe something other group as well. But their membership will be based on device attributes. What kind of attributes? Maybe operating system or maybe the device type. Let's say the operating system is Windows, so put it inside IT group. Okay, it's if it's Linux, then put that device inside a marketing group or a sales group, something like that. So those are the two types of memberships, assigned and dynamic. And in dynamic, you have dynamic user and dynamic device. And you can see that dynamic device is only supported in security groups, right? So in everyday terms, you can think of security groups as keys to rooms or resources, while M365 groups are more like teams that share common workspace and tools. So memberships can be like a guest list, either written manually or automatically updated based on the rules like job role. So if I want to show you how we create a simple group, so just go to your Enter ID.
So security group is more like ACLs.
Exactly. You can say that as well. Okay. So let's say I want to create a group. Simply go to your groups and here click on new group. And when you are creating a new group, it will ask you, are you going to create a security group or an M365 group? So I'm sticking with security group for here. The group name, I'll keep it as, IT, let's say next gen. Okay. Then, so for going with a dynamic membership, you need a premium Enter ID license. So that is why it's not, I'm going with assigned only. Then I'm going with an assigned membership. Means I can choose whom to put in charge of this group, which is your owner, and what members do I want to select. So simply click on here, no member selected, which is a hyperlink. From here, you can select which user you want to put inside this group. Let's say I want to put this user 01/n underscore n. Click on create, and a group named IT NextGen will be created. You can see that all the group information, how many number of users are there, what are deleted users, everything will be visible here. You can see that. If I go to my groups, see, there is an IT NextGen group. It is a security group. Membership is assigned. There is total one member, and it is a cloud group as well. Everything will be here. This is your object ID, right? You can assign your licenses, manage your devices, see the owners, properties, what roles you have given, everything here. And you can even manage licenses for each of these users. And always remember, a license is given, whenever we purchase a license for Enter ID, it is per user per month. Means if you have 10 users, you'll purchase 10 Enter ID licenses. If you have 100, then you'll purchase 100 licenses. Simple, right? And how can we assign licenses? So there is a different portal for this. The portal's name is Entra Microsoft. So currently it is down, it's facing some downtime due to Microsoft itself. From the backend itself, there is some problem. Although I would like to show you, but still show you that portal as well. So the name is Entra Admin Center.
So I have a query, not exactly query, but I want to see for dynamic group as well.
Yeah, that is what I'm
Yes.
saying. See, I'll tell you. What happens is for that, you need an Entra ID premium license. And I haven't purchased the premium license because of course, it's costly, right? And this portal is not working as of now. I'm facing some issues while trying to access. See, if I enter here, enter.microsoft.com, see this, you'll see I'm receiving an error. There is something, going wrong from the backend from the Microsoft team, and I'm not able to sign in with my this particular email ID. That is the reason I'm not able to show you as of now.
Okay, cool.
Otherwise, let's try that if it works. See that? It just, it's just giving me these random errors, and I've confirmed this with the other fellow, like friends of mine, and see, it's happening for the same as well, for them as well. So this authenticator app is not working for them as well. So that is the only reason I'm not able to show you that. Otherwise, I would have, definitely showed you that. So what happens is there just, it just creates a typical rule. It just creates a typical rule if and then condition. Means if the user, okay, what I'll do is I'll show you here. Dynamic membership. See this. This is the link you're looking for. See that? This is how it looks. Dynamic membership. If the user property operator, property means let's say user department, operator is equals the value, let's say IT, then automatically this user will be added to the group. So this is how it looks like. Can you see that? This is the code. Okay. That is what I wanted to show you. Right? So that is how you can create different rule sets. See that there are a number of rules that you can create. And this is the portal from where you can manage every aspect of Entra ID. See. So I'll share both of these documents with you. You can definitely go through these. First link and the second link. Just a minute. Yes. Yeah. So I've shared all the links with you. You can go through this and it will, you can gain more information about this. Now let's move back. Now how we can assign licenses to users and groups? Already told you. You can use Entra Admin Center for this. Right? Azure is a cloud service. We know that it provides many built-in services for free. Microsoft Entra ID comes as a free, but we have to go with a P1 or a P2 license if we are talking about assigning licenses. Right? And we can view license plan and details. We can set the usage location parameter. We can assign licenses to users and groups. We can even change licenses plans for users and groups, and we can even remove a license for anyone. Okay. So that is how all these functionalities are there in the admin center, Entra Admin Center. With that, we are typically done with this particular module, creating and configuring users and groups and all these settings. Now, any questions you have from this particular module? Anything?
Mm, Not exactly, but I want to see that authentication tab, the first topic which we discussed today. I'm not used that, like which rules we generally configure and to whom we assign. Like we assign to everyone, or it's up to us. Like we want to assign to a single group, or we want to assign to single user.
It's typically up to you. How do you want to, do it? If you want to do it for multiple users, then absolutely you
Mhm.
can do it for multiple users. If you want to go with a single user, let's say,
Okay.
but for that again, remember that you need an Entra ID premium license. Okay, so that
Okay.
is what's keeping us behind from that. But still, I'll show you if you have asked it. So let's go to our users. I'll give you a demonstration of that. So go to your users. Let's say you want to set it up for this particular user, right? Go
Mm-hmm.
to that user. In the
Mm-hmm.
navigation pane, you see authentication methods. Click on that.
Yes.
And from here, either you can just simply reset your password on your own, like,
Mm-hmm.
on his behalf, or you can
Mm-hmm.
just click on add authentication method.
Mm-hmm.
And from here, you can choose what method you want to go with, like providing him a code over email, over phone number, temporary access pass, or giving him a QR code,
So
whatever.
I have another query related to this. If
Hmm.
you are doing so, suppose any new user is coming, so
Hmm.
we are creating this authentication manually for all the users, or do we have any automation, or do we have any way through which we can assign it to everyone? Because
You
it
can add.
seems we are adding some steps manually.
Hmm.
So
So
like,
means,
do we another option to enable this authentication for all the users? Suppose we have thousands of users. Suppose we are migrating from on-prem to cloud, right? We have migrated
hmm.
thousands of users. So
Hmm.
we
Hmm. Hmm.
cannot
Hmm.
go each users and
Hmm.
add
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
authentication method. So do we
Hmm.
have another option through which we can add this option for all the users?
Okay. So absolutely you can do that. Okay. The feature that you have, we are talking about here is self-service password reset. But again,
Mm-hmm.
for that, you need to go to the portal, which is Entra Admin Center. See, there are two portals to manage Entra ID. One is your Azure portal. From here, we have some
Mm-hmm.
controls. But to to gain full what do you call it? Full capabilities. To gain full capabilities of your Entra ID, then you have to move to Entra Admin Center. As I've already told you, because of something happening at the back end, I'm not able to show you that. That's the only reason, keeping me behind by showing you that. Otherwise, it's very simple step. Same thing I'm doing here. Same thing you can do there, but there you can just do it for all at once.
Got it. I
You
just
can
wanted to
change.
know like if we can do
Ha,
that
ha,
or
ha.
not. But if
Absolutely,
we can do that,
absolutely.
then yes.
Yes, absolutely, you can do that because yes, that is a very valid answer, very valid question. If you are, that's a very nice question. If you are migrating thousands of users, then yes, we cannot manually do this for 1,000 users at once. Yeah, that option is always there. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, and you can even set the number of authentication methods. See, as I've opted for email here, you can choose for a number of options. Then what is the email address, which code should be sent to, and all these things. That is how we manage our authentication methods. Or we can just simply reset that password on our own. That is basically a traditional approach, right? All these options are there for you. Then any other questions? Other than that, any questions? Nothing? All right. Then I guess we are done with this module. And now we'll move to the other module. So just give me a second, I'll reshare my screen.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. I'm making you host now. Okay, I have another class also.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
please,
no worries.
end the class whenever the topic is finished.
Sure,
Thank you.
sure. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So just give me a moment. I'll reshare my screen. Hope my screen is not visible yet. I think it is
No,
visible.
it's
No? Okay.
visible with old screen.
Okay. Just give me a moment. Is able to see it? A new PPT is opening.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
By the way,
See,
what
this
is
is the
T00A?
What exactly? This
That
TWC. Whenever
T00A,
we
yeah.
talk about, I'll tell you. See, whenever we talk about any Azure course, any Azure course, let's say
Mm-hmm.
AZ-500, 305, anything. So
Mm-hmm.
there are two things. One, there's AZ-104, this we know that is an exam. If we are
Mm-hmm.
talking about the course material, then this is the course code. This is the whole
Okay.
course code, AZ-104 T100A. Okay. So this is the course code basically. Now, uh, now talking about governance and compliance. Ever heard about these terms? Governance, compliance. What is this
Yes.
governance? In general terms, what do you understand from governance?
So, in a simple words, if we are
Hmm.
doing whatever work, are we doing in a right manner? Are we following all the steps which should be followed?
Hmm.
So for that, to check those things, uh, we have these terms, or there are such standards, or non-profit organizations who
Hmm.
create some
Hmm.
standards which we need to
Hmm.
follow in
Hmm.
every specific companies, just like a banking or finance, they follow PCI DSS. Other companies follow ISA 27001, and there
Hmm.
are many other standards. Like
Hmm. Hmm. Exactly. Exactly. That's a very nice explanation. So see, governance is all about, I will say that in a single word, of taking ownership, right? Or something called as having control over something. Am I right? Having control, taking ownership, whatever we want to call it. So remember in schools we had an assembly time that we have to gather around in the assembly ground, let's say at 9 a.m. sharp. And there were some rules that we have to be disciplined. Our shoes should be clean, our uniform should be clean. It shouldn't be dirty, and all these things. Shirts should be tucked in. So what were these? These were rules created by our school. Why? So that we can stay compliant. Means we can stay disciplined with the industry standards, with the school standards, right? That is what we have been talking about here. How do we make sure that each user, each identity When I say identity, what type of identities we have, guys? Anyone? What type of identities we
Device,
have?
group, user,
Exactly. User, group, device, or third thing. Remember the third one?
entity,
Any application, basically.
application. Sorry, yeah.
Application. Yeah. Okay. So see, how can we make sure that these devices, these applications, these are compliant, under compliant? How can we make sure? By having governance, by creating policies, creating rules. So policy is a service on Azure. We have VM as a service, storage, database, enter ID. Similarly, we have a service called as policy. So we can set up policies to have control over our organization, right? So that we can stay compliant. That is governance and compliance. But before coming to that, I just want to start with the very basics. What is Azure? What is region? All these things. Okay. So first we need to describe or discuss the core architectural components of Azure. Then we'll come to Azure policies and how we initiate an Azure policy. I think that this we will cover tomorrow. Today it will be more than enough if we complete the components only, the core architectural components. And then we'll see what is RBAC as well. Okay. So let's try to cover the core architectural components of Azure. Okay, so tell me guys, when we are talking about on-premise data centers, or not data center, on-premise environment, what elements come to your mind? How do we plan for setting, let's say you set up an organization named as contoso.com. What things, what technical things do you set up, you plan for? How do you
Uh,
create?
we
Hmm,
need to set up few firewalls, few switches, few routers, few servers,
okay,
and
firewall, switching.
racks.
Yes,
Yeah, all these things we will set up.
absolutely. Routers, server racks, these multiple servers can be there, databases, then maybe your NAS storage, something like that, right?
Mm.
So what are we talking about here? But the first thing that you have to plan is the location where you are going to host your data center, right? So that is also a factor. So if we talk about factors, you have to make sure that your organization, your servers are able to, what we can say, are able to service end users, to serve end users, right? So you have to determine the location as well, where you are going to host your data center. So similarly, in Azure, we have to set up everything, but everything virtually. We don't have to procure anything. So there are two things with that. Two things come to my mind. There are two type of operational models. One is capital expenditure, or which we call as capex. Second, we have operational expenditure, which we call as opex model. Now, from the name, what do you think? Or let me just explain you. Capital expenditure means when you are putting up some capital, when you are investing something at the very first thing. Okay, at upfront, you are paying upfront for resources. Operational means you are paying as long as you are using the resource. So, what do you think? Azure falls under the capex model or the opex model? Azure cloud
OpEx,
computing, opex model.
OpEx.
Exactly. Azure falls under the OpEx model. Why? Because here we are going to use subscription model, which is known as pay as you go. Means paying for only the resources that you are utilizing and even for the particular set of time you're using. So let's say if I have hosted a VM for, let's say 10 days and I'm not using it for the whole 30 days. So what do you think I'll be paying for? I'll be paying for 10 days only. That is what we call pay as you go model. But do you think that is possible if I just purchase a new server, Windows Server, along with it, I purchase a Windows Server license? Will it be possible? No, right? I'll have to pay upfront for both of these things, for the hardware as well as the software. So what is that? Capital expenditure. So capital expenditure is basically when we go with on-prem setup. Now with all of these, let's understand all the core architectural components of Microsoft Azure. Region. What is an Azure region? Azure region is nothing but it represents a collection of data centers. So I'll explain you in a very simple way. Remember, you said that we host data centers in a location, right? And those data centers are what? That is our region. Similarly, is there on Azure. Here, Azure has hosted its server racks, multiple server racks, and it groups these server racks and it call each of these servers, let's say DC1, DC2, DC3, three server racks. Each server rack is basically represented as a data center. And when we group all of these, we call it availability zone. Okay. And when we group this availability zone inside a region, so that is what basically an Azure region is. So let's say region is nothing but your geography, where you are hosting your resources. So there are multiple regions. Region is all about choosing a geography. And there are multiple geographies. India, US, Asia, to Canada, or whatever comes to your mind. Japan, different geographies are there. So inside the geography, we have India, and in India, we have three regions as well. These regions are Central India, South India, and West India. There are three different regions. Okay, a whole different region. And always remember, each of these regions are almost, at least 300 miles away from each other. Right? So that is your Azure region. It's nothing but it represents a collection of data centers. So if you want to have information on, I would show you a very interactive website. Just search for Azure Global Infrastructure. So this website gives you a very, a very good experience. If you want to, let's say, if you want to explore the regions, what regions are there on Azure? So there are almost 70 plus regions available worldwide. Okay, you can see this globe. It seems like Google Map only, right? Google Earth, I guess. So this is your US region. Let's say if you want to see how many regions are there in US, you see these cyan colored dots, West US 3, West US, West Central US, West US 2, then this is your South Central US, this is your Central US. All these are regions. See, it's a region with availability zones. The location is Iowa. Here it was opened in 2014. And these are its compliance offerings that it has. Industry compliance, standard compliance, regional, global, all these things. Let's say we want to see how many regions are there in India. Let's move the globe to India. See, we are inside India now. So there I can see there are three regions: Central India, South India, and there will be West India somewhere here as well. Right? And this is a geography. This this diamond shaped icon. This shows that India is a geography with having two available regions. One is coming soon. Okay, that is the reason.
Yes, right.
And yeah, we want to see the Central India region, let's say. So where is it? It is located in Pune. Right? Here it was opened 2015. It is available with three zones, means three availability zones are there. Then regional compliance, it has this, industry compliance, these are the offerings, and global compliances are these. Now remember I told you that it doesn't matter, sorry, doesn't it? It does matter that where you are hosting your resources, the location matters. And why I say that? Because it's not mandatory that if hosting a VM is possible in Central India, it will be possible in South India as well. So if you want to see what products or what Azure services are available or are hostable under what region, so first I'll share this link with you guys. And then if you want to see what products are there in a particular region, click on this link. You go to view product availability. So let's say I want to see in what all geographies I can host a virtual machine. You see, the moment I hit virtual machine, and here on the left, these are all different VM series, different configurations of VMs. Okay. See, virtual machines. So what regions are there? South Africa, East Asia, Southeast Asia, Australia, US government, then Brazil, Central India, Canada East, all these regions. In any of these regions, I can host a VM. But let's say I want to check for a particular geography. I want to check for maybe Canada. See that we can host a virtual machine both in Canada Central as well as in Canada East, right? So whatever resource, whatever service, let's say I want to check for storage account. So storage account is a service. So where I can host a storage account, let's say I want to host an Azure container storage, I can host it in Canada Central and in Canada East as well. And if I want to check for, let's say, India, go to India, see that we can host any type of storage inside Central India, South India, and West India. So this website gives you a clear picture of either you can host these particular resource in your region or not. So I'm giving out to you that as well. Now we know that what is a region? It's nothing but represents a collection of data centers, and you can see in the image as well. So this is one server rack. This is two server racks. So this whole becomes an availability zone one. These are two different server racks. Becomes availability zone two. This is third. Two server racks becomes availability zone three. And this whole basically is an Azure region. Simple. It provides flexibility and scale. Means, we can choose where we want to host our resource in India region, Central India, and Central US, wherever. And we can scale up as we want. We can, keep increasing the number of resources that we host. Provides data residency, means our data will reside in the region there where we have hosted it. And now there is a key consideration or a best practice, you can call it. They say always select a region that is close to your users. So if your users are, let's say, sitting in Pune, then what region you should go with? Maybe Central India, right? Something like that. Be aware of region deployment availability. Already shared you the website. So they are talking about the same thing. Check if the service is available in your region or not that you are trying to host. There are global services that are region independent. So there are some of the services which doesn't matter wherever you host, they will be available, such as network watcher, or I would say a private DNS zone. These are the services that are Azure services that are available. Doesn't matter where your region is. Most regions are paired for high availability. Now, what do I mean when I say paired? Yes, Dinesh, are you saying something?
Yeah, I have one query. Is there any option while creating the VM or any service, like if I can consider as a all, like that can be available anywhere, just
No.
like we do have in firewall. I'm creating an object and I want that it will be available or in all the firewalls. So that also possible here in Azure, or we need to select like that is necessary or compulsory. We need to select some region or some
Yes,
site.
yes, it's compulsory. You have to select a region. But then
Okay.
you have to mention where you are hosting this resource. You are hosting it in India or in Canada, somewhere. So absolutely, you have to
Okay.
select a region. Whatever resource you host on Azure now, let's say if you want to host a firewall event, you will have
Mhm.
to choose a region. You'll have to pick a region because we are talking about cloud deployment. This will be hosted on some server rack. So you have to tell Azure now which server rack you are hosting it on so that it can determine.
Sir, one more doubt. While we creating any VM, uh, we need to select the region, no, sir. Instead of the
Yes.
selecting, can we set as a default this region?
No. Default you cannot set. You always have to select a region.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
To clear your doubts, I'll just quickly give you a glance. Let's say I want to create a VM. Search for VM. Simply go to this create and click on create a virtual machine. And you'll see, let's wait for it. Can you see we have first, we have to choose a resource group. Then we have to give this virtual machine a name. And then it's asking for us to choose a region. See that? So that is there. You have to pick a region, whatever resource you are trying to create. Doesn't matter, it's a VM, storage account, Entra ID, whatever. You have to pick a region. Okay. And when I say
So
most regions,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
when I say most regions are paired for high availability, means let's say, we have Central India and we have South India. So I told you that these will be at least 300 miles away from each other, but they will be paired for disaster recovery. Let's say this is your Central India region, this is your South India region. They will be interconnected with each other. So that if this region faces any failure, any power outage, any flood, anything, you can access your resources from the secondary region. That is what it means, right? So that is region pairing. And you don't have to do anything here. They have been, there are paired regions automatically created. So I'll give you a paired region list as well. Just a minute.
So
And we
same
have
way, do we have HA for geography as well? If suppose anything happens in India, so
uh,
like
not for a
can
geography, like for
no?
regions only. For regions.
Okay. I have one more
So
query. You mentioned about some cloud watch. Why we
network
that
watcher.
yeah, network watch, sorry. So
Hmm.
is it like an NTP or something?
No, no, no.
Or no?
It's basically a service that I was just giving you an example. It's just an Azure service. As VM is a service, same
Mm.
network watcher is a service. So it is a service to keep an eye on your network, to see your network topology and all that. I'll
Mm.
come to that on the last day. What is network
Okay.
watcher? Okay.
Oh,
All right. So see, these all are paired regions. Australia Central is paired with Australia Central 2. Location is Canberra. Then Central US is paired with East US 2. Location is Iowa. Central India is paired with South India. Location is Pune. So this list gives you a clear picture of what all paired regions are there. You should go with this. AZ means availability zone, Dinesh. Uh, AZ means availability zone. Now let's continue with this. What is a subscription? Remember we talked about this yesterday? What is a subscription? It's nothing but a billing
yes.
boundary. So simple. It's nothing but an account that is given to you. You can have multiple subscriptions if you want. If you have, different case scenarios, let's say dev subscription, test subscription, production, to separate the billing and segregate these resources from each other. That is the reason we can have multiple subscriptions. I don't think we have to talk much here because we have already covered this yesterday, right, guys? So I think we can bypass this. It's nothing
Yes.
but a billing boundary, right? Let's move forward. Now, what types of subscriptions are there? This is important. See, first is free subscription. Means, let's say you are a user, you go to portal.azure.com. There you don't have any account. So first time it asks you for a sign up. And if you register yourself and you put in your credit card details, and when I say credit card details, don't worry, nothing will be deducted from your credit card, without your knowledge or without your acknowledgement. Nothing will be deducted. But if you enter your credit card details for verification and a fresh email ID, then they will give you free $200 credits to use within the first 30 days. Okay. Means you can use VM, you can host storage accounts. So $200 credits will be there in your portal, credited, but only for first 30 days. If you use these $200 within first 10 days, then again your subscription will be invalid. If you don't consume these $200 within this 30 days, if the 30 days comes first, then again your subscription will be invalid. So whatever comes first, either the 30 days or you consume all these credits within maybe 10 days, 5 days, whatever, your subscription will be like not invalid, it will be inactive. You won't be able to host your resources because you have, consumed everything. Then what subscription you move to? Then Azure will ask you that we already have your credit card details. Do you want to move to pay as you go, which is your, charging you monthly? And when I say charging you monthly, means it's not like a typical subscription like we are paying for a license like 1,000 rupees fixed. No, whatever resources you will host, let's say you host a VM for which you have to pay, let's say 100 rupees for a month. They will ask you, do you want to move to pay-as-you-go subscription? And if yes, then you can opt whatever resources you host. You host a VM, you host a database, you host a storage account, anything. Based on these configurations and the time you are using these resources, this set of resources, you will be getting billed. Then you have cloud service partner. We have vendors like different vendors are there who can provide discounts. So these are CSPs are nothing but vendors. You must have seen whenever we try to, what do you call it? Whenever we try to apply for an Wi-Fi connection. So there are multiple vendors in our area, right? For Airtel, for ACT, for Exitel was there, I guess. Geo. Multiple vendors are there. And how do they help you? They say that, give us this pricing upfront and we'll come to your house, we'll install the cables, we'll install the router, everything we'll do for you. And they often offer you discounts as well. Let's say they say that the router is free of cost, you don't have to pay anything. Just go from our side, right? What is that? Cloud service provider. Same as the concept as cloud service provider. He's a vendor who can help you with discounts and he can even help you to implement your Azure subscription. Means if you are new to Azure, you don't know how to host VMs, you don't know how to host storage account, how to implement your environment, they can help you with that as well. Then for large scale, so this is for small and medium businesses where you have 200 employees or less than 200 employees. But if you have large scale enterprise organization, let's say you have more than 200 employees, thousands of employees are there, then you have to go with an enterprise agreement. So that's an agreement that is a different type of subscription aimed at larger organizations. Again, they can help you with discounts for new licenses and software assurance, all these things. And it is targeted at enterprise scale organizations. Lastly, you have a student subscription. So this subscription is special. Here, you don't need to put any credit card details. First thing, you just have to put in your university email ID or something for verification. So you must have a valid university email ID or something like that. And once you put that, you sign up for Azure, you will be given a total of $100 to use for 12 months. Now, I'm not saying $100 per month. Remember that. It's not per month. Okay. It's not like that. These are in total for total 12 months. So you can consume these $100 within these 12 months with having a student account and you don't require any credit card detail to put here. So these are the types of subscriptions you have and how you can avail these subscriptions. See, again, enterprise agreements you can take from vendors. There are resellers, cloud service providers, all these, I'm basically talking about vendors only. Different cloud service providers are there, different vendors are there, all these things. Or the last thing is you can go to create personal free account. Understand? That's how you can get a subscription and what types of subscriptions do you have. Now, before moving to a resource group, I will simply draw a hierarchy. What is the hierarchy in Microsoft Azure? So allow me a moment. Whenever we talk about the hierarchy in Microsoft Azure, first thing that comes is tenant root group. So this is basically your tenant. Okay, and tenant is what? Can anyone tell me what does a tenant represents? A tenant or a directory? It represents a single organization. Let's say contosa.com. Okay. So this is your tenant root group. Inside that, you have management groups. Just understand this as of now. We'll talk about this in detail, in the coming things. Then you have your subscriptions. If you have multiple subscriptions or you have one subscription, you have, let's say, a dev subscription and you have another production subscription, something like that. You can have multiple subscriptions inside a management group. Then inside the subscription, you have a resource group. And inside that resource group, you have your actual resources. What resources? Virtual machines, storage accounts, VNet, anything, databases, anything. So this is the hierarchy that we follow. This is the top level. Then comes management group. Then comes subscriptions. Then your resource groups. And finally, your resources. Okay. So what is this resource group? Let's understand. Resource group is nothing but it's a container to host all your resources that share the same life cycles, permissions, and policies. That is your resource group. It's nothing but, we have files and folders, right? If I go to my file explorer, inside this, we have our file and folders. Let's say download is a folder. Inside that, I have some files. Same concept as here. This resource group is basically a folder for all your resources, container, folder, whatever you want to call it. And resources can only exist in one resource group. So now that's based upon you. How do you want to manage your resources? Either you can keep every resource inside a single resource group. Let's say this is RG1. Or you can segregate these resources into different resource groups as well. You don't pay anything for resource groups, okay? You only pay for the resources that you're utilizing. Remember that. So you can either create a single resource group and put everything inside it, or you can segregate your resources inside different set of resource groups. Both options are available. What are the few things that we need to know? Let's say this is an app service. Okay, it is a service from Azure. This is your VM, this is your storage account. Now, it can be possible that this VM is hosted in Central India. The storage account is hosted in Central US. Doesn't matter the region of the resource. Wherever that resource is, it can be put inside the resource group. Very simple. Or it can also happen that there's resources in Central India, there's in US, there's in West US, anything. So both options are available. Groups can have resources of many different types, means many different services, and from many different regions. One thing you have to remember is once you have named a resource group, let's say if you have named it RG1, you cannot change it afterwards. You cannot change it to RG01, RG10, anything. And always remember, you cannot have another resource group inside a resource group. Do you understand? That is what we mean here when we say nested. So RGs cannot be nested or renamed as well. But it is possible you can move your resources between your groups. Let's say if you want to move this virtual machine from RG2 to RG3 after deployment, you can do that. If you want to move the storage account from RG3 to RG2, absolutely you can do that. Okay, that is possible. So now we know what is a region, we know what is intra ID, we know what is a tenant, we know what's a resource group, right? We know what's a subscription. Subscription is nothing but a billing boundary. You can have multiple subscriptions. Similarly, you can have multiple resource groups. Then you can determine service limits and quotas. So there is a website. Did I share that website with you yesterday? That subscription limits and quotas? Anyone? Can you confirm that?
I don't think so.
Okay. So I'll share it with you. That is the perfect time. So, there are some limits whenever we talk about intra ID or anything. So there are some limits, right? Whenever we procure a Wi-Fi plan, there is a 50 MB limit, there is a 100 Mbps limit. There are some limits. Similar is the case in Azure subscription. Whenever you get an Azure subscription, there are some service limits, quotas, and constraints you have to be aware about. Let's say if we talk about subscriptions, how many subscriptions can you have per management group? See, unlimited, right? Or let's say what else? How many resource group can you have per subscription? 980. I don't think that's more than enough, although. So yeah, subscriptions have their own limits that you need to be, what do you get? Aware about. How many resources can you have per resource group? See, resources aren't limited by resource group. Instead, they are limited by a resource type in a resource group. See, okay. So these are limits and quotas. You should be aware of this whenever you're hosting any resource on Microsoft Azure. Okay, what is AZ? AZ is nothing availability zone. Availability zone is the concept, means when you put, there are different server racks. There is server rack 1, server rack 2, server rack 3. And this, you can call it a server rack In Azure, we don't call it a server rack, we call it a data center. So DC1, DC2, DC3. Let's say there are some CPU units hosted here, some RAM hosted here, some memory hosted here. And same for here, here, and here as well. And if you put each of these data centers inside, if you group them, if you establish a connectivity and group them inside a thing, inside a container, that container is known as availability zone. Simple. And in one Azure region, you can have almost 3 availability zones. So this is availability zone 1, availability zone 2, and availability zone 3. This can be present inside a single Azure region. Let's say this region is Central India. So in Central India, as we've already seen in the globe, we have 3 availability zones. So these are those 3 availability zones. Okay. It's nothing but collection of all your data centers. That's your availability zone. Hope you
So
understand now,
me,
Dinesh?
I have also have query regarding this. So geography, I got what is geography? India is a geography.
Huh.
Reason I got it. Reason is in Central India we have West and South, right?
Geography basically means where you
No,
are
no, no,
located. That's it.
no. Geography, I got it.
Hmm.
Reason also I got it, right?
Hmm.
Same DC and AZ I am confused with. So basically AZ is nothing but the one data center in on-prem data center. Is it
Group of data centers. Group of data centers.
what do you mean by group of data center? Because see here in Central India, they have one data center in Pune, right? So that data center called as what? AZ.
See, there is not a single data center. There must be multiple data. Okay, you have seen your office server room anytime?
Yes, yes,
You must have seen there are multiple server racks, right?
correct.
Maybe in each floor is having a separate server rack, right? Server rooms.
Mhm.
So what is that? Single floor is having one data center. Another floor is having data center 2. So you can have grouping of different server racks, different data centers into one. Establishing a connection means, let's say there are 2 floors in your building. One is your IT floor, another one is, let's say, marketing floor. IT floor
Correct.
has its own server room, marketing
Hmm.
floor has its own server room. Let's say
Okay.
due to some reason possible, IT's server room is not, what do you say? It's not reachable, anything, not serviceable. So what you can do? You can move to your marketing server room, right? You can do that. So what is that? Provides you with availability. Your resources are still available, right? So when we connect multiple data centers, multiple different server rooms, imagine as that. That is nothing but an availability zone. We are going to talk about it in detail when we will start with virtual machines. Don't worry about
When you're calling it as a rack, at that
it.
time I'm getting confused because rack is a one single rack where only few
Huh.
devices we can keep.
So
One
single rack
data,
is one server rack. So
yeah, correct.
that single server rack, call it as a data center. Simple. Okay. And
Okay,
multiple server racks that become an availability zone. Simple. I'll do
okay.
one thing. I'll share a website for you with this. Okay. Uh, Availability zone.
Because I'm comparing that with on-prem or the data center we have.
Uh,
So
I
as you
understand.
mentioned, we do have
Hmm.
in every floor one data center room
Hmm,
or a
hmm,
server room where we keep one
hmm,
single or couple of firewalls, a few
yes.
servers, or like a small server room or
Hmm,
small data center room, you can say.
huh,
But we do
I
have very
understand.
big data centers as well, and on-premise
Yes.
I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
if you're saying those big data center, multiple
Hmm,
big
hmm,
data center called as a AZ,
hmm,
that's
hmm.
I am able to understand.
Okay.
Same with a small data center room or small server rooms, if you're talking about that, you're calling as a DC, that also I'm able to understand. And multiple those rooms in a different floors called as a AZ, that also I'm able to understand. But when you're
Okay.
calling it as a server rack, at the time I'm
Hmm.
getting confused because server rack,
Okay.
because in one room we keep multiple server racks, like a
Yes. So
multiple racks.
that room is an availability zone. Simple.
Oh, okay.
See that? You see this website which says what is the difference between a data center and an availability zone? Simple. An availability zone is nothing but a logical grouping of one or more physical separate data centers within a region. That's it. See that?
Hmm.
And this is the image. There can be one data center, more than one data centers in an availability zone. Okay.
Hmm.
Yes. See that there's S here, there's a S in bracket means there can be a single server rack, a single data center, or there can be multiple data centers as well inside an availability zone. Okay. And there is a video as well. So you can watch this video. If I try this video now, so it will just take our time. But still, I'll just give it to you. Okay. So you must go through this website. It will clear all your doubts. What are regions, availability zones, and all that. And Dinesh, hope this doubt is okay. Dinesh, I think, has left the meeting. This is Dinesh Naskar. Okay, no worries. So those are your availability zones. Now let's continue with that. So we can set up limits and quotas, right? Now, what is Azure resource hierarchy? Already told you. On the top, you have your root management group, which we call as tenant root management group as well. What is a management group? Management group provides a level of scope above subscriptions. If you have, if you have a single subscription, multiple subscriptions, doesn't matter. If you want to manage these subscriptions, you have a scope which is called as management groups. And inside that management group, you can have your subscriptions. Let's say this is dev subscription, this is production subscription, something like that, right? So you can target policies on, you can set up rules on this whole management group if you want it to flow down until the end, or you can target your policies on subscription level, or even if you have, under that you have resource group, then you have your resources. That's what I've told you. You can even put your policies on a single resource group as well. All right. So this is the Azure resource hierarchy. How does it look like? The family tree, basically. If you want to see this in Azure, just simply I'll show you that. Here I'll search for management group. Go to management groups. Can you see that? On the top, what do we have? Tenant root group, which is your exact tenant. Okay, default directory. Then inside that, what do we have? Your subscription. And I have created another management group inside this tenant root group. Then if I go to the subscription, inside the subscription, what do you have? Then your resource groups, and under those resource groups, you have your resources. So this is nothing but the hierarchy. Okay. First comes your tenant root group. Then comes, I'll write it here again, your tenant root group. Then comes your management groups. Then come your subscriptions. Then come your resource group. And lastly, your resources. Hope you understand what I'm saying here.
Yes.
All right. That's your hierarchy. And I think we have covered enough for today. So tagging, we can talk about tomorrow as well. So I think we can wrap up for today's session. Any questions or any doubts as of now from today's session or anything that you have in mind?
Sir, one question, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, I know from zone to zone there is a high availability. Is there a high availability from region to region?
Yes, exactly. There is, which we call as Azure Site Recovery, and that we'll cover in the backup module. Yes, there is.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yes, Dinesh, you were saying something.
Not related to this actually. I have two queries I forgot to ask yesterday. So
Mm-hmm.
this 104 will be covered in how many classes?
So the content usually takes from somewhere around 24 hours to 30, 32 hours, I would say. So yeah,
Okay.
those are the
Okay.
hours that it can take. So I can say if we talk about days, I think if we connect daily for 1.5 hours,
Mhm.
I guess for in 20 days we will cover this.
Okay, and you are also going to cover 500.
Yeah, absolutely. That as well. But that will be
Okay,
started after these 20 days. First
correct,
we have to cover easy now. Yes.
correct. Another thing I wanted to ask, like, are we also going to do this on lab? Like, are we also going to perform this on lab, or it's our task, or we have to do by our own? Like, because I don't know, like, it's been a while I have attended any training, so
Huh.
I
See,
don't know, like,
the lab part you can discuss with Sachin, but I guess you'll have to create your own Azure portal for that because
okay,
lab part is I don't think they will be providing labs for this, but still you can connect with Sachin for that. Although I don't have any labs that I can give you if you're asking me. Although you can ask Sachin for that.
okay. So do we
Okay.
need to perform all of this on lab, right,
Um,
to practice it, like whatever we are discussing, or it's
you
not
can
required as such
absolutely.
on 104?
See, if we talk about the exams perspective, then I don't think you need to do that. Why? Why I'm saying that? Because there are no labs in AZ-104 exam. There are only MCQs. That's it. Okay. So that's clear. But if you are looking for practice, absolutely for practice, you will need hands-on practice. For that cases, for your personal practice, then I can suggest, yes, you can go with labs, any labs if you have. But for exams perspective, I think you should stick with the theoretical content and MCQ questions. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Yes. All right.
Yep.
Sir, one
So,
more.
hmm,
Sir, in coming classes, you will teach for us how to create the VMs and how to create the
absolutely.
this.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
yes. Don't worry about it.
if
Everything
we
will be
have
covered.
the Azure portal, we can do no, sir, as a lab.
Exactly. Yes, you can do it if you have the
Okay.
portal. Okay, do
Yeah.
one thing. Do one thing if you want. I can't assist you with that, but I'll just suggest you. If you want to have Azure portal, just simply go to portal.azure.com. If you have any
Mm-hmm.
credit card, any credit card basically. So just sign in there, register there, use your credit card details. Nothing will be deducted, only 2 rupees are deducted, and that also is refunded. These are just for verification. So you can create an Azure portal and then you can start, learning on your own. You can do that if you want.
Yes, sir. Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right then. I guess that was it for today. How was the session, guys? We
Good.
have covered. Good.
Now good for me. Yesterday class was also good.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right then, guys. And where are you guys connected from, if I may ask, like which part of the country?
I'm in Mumbai.
Okay. And Pawan, what about you?
I'm from Hyderabad.
Hyderabad. Okay. Ranjan is from Kerala. That's such a nice place. Okay. That's great. We have diversity of people here.
Mhm.
Nice. Okay. And all are working individuals? You all are working in organizations like Ranjan, you as well?
Yes, sir. I'm
Pawan
also working. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. That's nice. That's nice. All right, great. All right then, guys. I think you have had enough for today. So enjoy yourself now. Have your dinner and good night. And we'll see each other tomorrow. Okay.
Cool. Thank you so much.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you.